YGF Beats.
It's Squeeple, and I'm back with another video. I know it's been a long time, and this is a topic that has been touched on for some time now, but I feel like we need to go into the scientific part of it. So before we begin, please check out our website, 59 News. This is the book section. Here's an audio tape as well. We also have tarot cards available, $54, as well as the book that goes with it so you could get a more in-depth understanding on how to use the cards. Alright, so to begin, I'm going to read this section of the non-ball count 1, and it says, the purpose of the booklet is known as the non-ball is liberation information for woolly-haired people called the Ethiopian race. We, the scientists of the Ethiopian race, know that whatever Ethiopians do for successful liberation must be done intelligently, meaning the steps we take must be reasonable and practical. All people with genuinely woolly hair by nature are the Ethiopian race, and the Ethiopian race everywhere is the being we are most concerned about, not only because we are part of the Ethiopian race, but also because we find our race in the lowest position of all races, and this is because our race has the least correct information, which is another way of saying the least correct knowledge. We Ethiopian scientists know that a person or a race's physical position among others indicate his or its mental position amongst others. Therefore, since our race holds the lowest position of the races on orb Earth, this means that our mental position is lowest, and until our mental position rises, we as a race cannot raise our physical status. The elevator of our mental status is 9 knowledge, and the 9 knowledge needed at this time is liberation information, for Ethiopians are now in captivity mentally and physically to alien forces and adverse forces. Mental liberation knowledge informs us that before woolly-haired people were called Negroes by Caucasians, we were called Ethiopians, and before we were known as Ethiopians by the Greeks, we were called Nubians by the ancients. The words Ethiopian and Nubian are the same in meaning. They both mean ether, the life-giving, light-giving, burning energies that the sun produces called prominences and sunshine. The Caucasian, the white man and woman, never taught black people that sunshine is ether, because if they had, some of us would have been able to reason out our origin many years ago. But one of Caucasian purposes is to keep Ethiopians ignorant so we can be used against ourselves for Caucasian benefit and well-being. Remember, when we say Ethiopian, we are not referring to only to woolly-haired people born in the state of Africa known as Ethiopia, but woolly-haired people wherever they are, namely all people in the Ethiopian race. The root of the word Ethiopian is the word ether, and it means our origin is the sun, because the sun is 9, and 9 ether sun produces the Ethiopian race. We Ethiopian scientists do not expect all woolly-haired people to be receptive to 9 reason and 9 knowledge. It will take time for some to understand, and there are others who will neither understand nor care. But those among us who are intelligent by nature will understand, accept, and adhere. These are the ones we are searching for these are the survival and future of the Ethiopian race. No one can make another intelligent. A person must be born intelligent, and the intelligent among us are the only ones who can liberate self. No one can liberate a person. A person must liberate self by understanding, accepting, and following liberation knowledge. So now we're gonna go into the initial part of the video. So I asked the AI, I said, hello, I'd like for you to list all the chemicals in perms, makeup, fake hair glue, eyelash glue, and fake nails, and then list how it can negatively impact the part of the brain that is responsible for intellect and memory. Also explain how it can affect female hormones and DNA and explain the dangers of such. It says this is an excellent and important health question. Here's a comprehensive breakdown. Toxic chemicals and common beauty products and their impact on the brain, hormones, and DNA. Hair perms. These use strong alkaline and acidic chemical processes. Key ingredients include ammonium thioglycolate, hydrogen peroxide, sodium bromate, neutralizer, resorcinol, and formaldehyde releasing agents. Products commonly contain parabens, PFAS,
YTF Beats.
and phenylenediamine compounds used in tinted products. Lead appears in certain eyeliners and lipsticks along with carbon black pigments in mascara. BHA, BHT preservatives, synthetic fragrances, and heavy metals like mercury and aluminum. Fake hair, hair extensions, and wigs. Studies have found that weaves, wigs, and other hair extension products are laden with flame retardants, phthalates, pesticides, styrene, tetrachloroethane, and organotins. Excuse my pronunciation. Chemicals linked to cancer, hormone disruption, and developmental problems and effects on the immune system. Hair glue contains cyanoacrylate, formaldehyde, toluene, benzene, phthalates, and synthetic fragrance compounds. Eyelash glue. Eyelash glues commonly contain D2-ethyl hexyl phthalate, a known endocrine disruptor. Formaldehyde, a known carcinogen and irritant, also found in fake eyelash adhesives. Additional ingredients include thion. Okay, you guys can see it. Phenol, formalin, glycol ethers, denatured alcohol, and latex. Fake nails and nail products. Formaldehyde and chemicals that slowly break down to release formaldehyde are widely used as preservatives in nail polishes. Other chemicals include methacrylate monomers, MMA, EMA, toluene, or DBP, acetone camphor, and triphenyl phosphate. Effects on the brain, intellect, and memory centers. Two primary brain regions responsible for intellect and memory are the hippocampus, long-term memory formation, and the prefrontal cortex, reasoning, working, memory, decision-making. Phthalates, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but I think that's what it is, phthalates. The developing prefrontal cortex is very sensitive to phthalates in the environment. Early exposure to phthalates is associated with inattention, hyperactivity, aggression, anxiety, lower IQ, and slowed sensory motor development. PFAS. Exposure to PFOS, a PFAS chemical, altered gene expression in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, regions critical for learning, memory, and executive function, and was associated with impaired cognitive performance and more impulsive decision making in the prefrontal cortex. PFOS exposure disrupted genes responsible for glutathione metabolism, a critical biological pathway the brain uses to clear out harmful oxidative stress and toxins. So, one thing we always hear about black women is that, oh, we're aggressive, we're mean, we're all of these things, but we don't see that the things that we are putting on ourselves externally and internally contribute to that as well.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Bisphenol A. BPA exposure, even at low concentrations, compromises neuronal survival, dendritic density, and synaptic plasticity. In animal models, cognitive deficits were observed in memory and learning tasks associated with increased oxidative stress and alterations in key molecular pathways. Triclosan, found in some makeup, sorry, found in some makeup and personal care products. Triclosan impairs hippocampal synaptic plasticity and spatial memory. It prevents dendritic spine remodeling, the physical process by which memory is encoded, and significantly disrupts hippocampus-dependent spatial memory performance. Benzophenone 3. and oxybenzone, UV filters, and makeup. This compound has been shown to evoke neurotoxic effects in the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus, impairing short term and spatial memory. These brain structures were specifically studied because they are most vulnerable to damage and have key involvement in cognitive processes. With that being said, it's pretty safe to say, like, as far as, according to Noon and the things we have spoken about previously, we already, you know, have spirit beings that aren't in our favor. Not only that, then we continue to cause more mental damage to ourselves over and over and over and over, even with this knowledge, which is a form of mental illness. So let's keep reading, because there's no way that all this information is free to the public and people continue to put these things on their body in a continuous manner and provide so much money towards it, hundreds of thousands of dollars. People are paying rent for hair and lashes and nails and all of the dangers. And then the thing that people don't really realize is that the people that are selling the items or even doing the nails, you never see them with the nails on. You never see them, like when you go to the Asian salons and stuff, you never see them with any of the stuff on. You always see them with their faces covered due to the toxins and the chemicals. You never see them with long tips on or anything, but they're fine to put it on you because it puts money in their pockets. So while they're trying to protect themselves, they're not in there with wigs and weaves and things like that. While they're trying to make sure they're okay, they don't care if you endanger yourself, as long as it keeps their money flowing. So that alone, not only the harm to your body, but the fact that they take from the black community and don't put back into it, that should be another thing that makes you feel uncomfortable to keep contributing to these businesses, because these businesses are not only harming you mentally and physically, but also financially. So yeah, it's saying here that there are neurotoxic effects in the frontal cortex and hippocampus, impairing short-term and spatial memory. They are most vulnerable to damage. And when these things are happening, and we're doing it for generations, it's becoming habit. And we're not seeing nothing wrong with that. That's where we have to start using our brains here and make better and smarter decisions for ourselves, especially as black women, and not take offense when other black women or other black men say, like, it's best to be natural. It's best.
Do you think it's okay for other black women to wear wigs and weaves and stuff like that?
Yeah, they can do whatever they want, especially like if they don't have any hair on their head already and they want to feel beautiful with hair on their head. Do what you want.
I feel like we should be pushing them to be like bald and happy, short hair happy, natural and happy. You feel me?
But why push people to do things that they don't want to? If they want to wear a wig, wear the wig.
Because when you look at them as a leader, you can tell what's best for other people's lives, right? That's the point of a leader. And when we see black women wearing wigs and weaves and fake hair, we can do this. So just people in general, black men.
Well,
right? So we've done studies, right? And there's chemicals that harm the black woman. But like, we care about black women.
Yeah.
So that's why we want you guys to be natural. Because
how are you gonna tell us what you want for us? Why can't we do what we want?
Why can't they be more worried about what's inside period products, that's toxic chemicals, rather than about the weave and that's inside their head?
You said what chemical products?
The toxic chemicals and period products and every other.
Well, so those matter too.
Water and the food you eat. You eat McDonald's.
Yeah, I think there's other problems to be worried about.
Microplastics in that Pure Life. That's gonna kill you too, sir.
So the thing about it, we have to go one problem at a time. When we start to bring up one problem and you guys don't want to talk about it, that doesn't mean we just shift to everything else. Like you might be right. This might have microplastics in my water, and you know what? I'm going to get me a water bottle because you're right about that. Now, can you also agree that you guys are wrong with the fake hair and wigs and weaves?
How are we wrong? I'm confused on how that's wrong.
Because they have cancer-causing chemicals. Like
everything does. Tricks.
No. But see, you're doing it again though. You're shifting the goalposts.
Young women, young black women, do yourself a favor. Take off all these wigs and weaves. It really makes you look. Black men don't care for it. You really don't. And I'm saying it as politely as possible. Most black men think exceptionally negative about it. Because we're sitting there looking at you with somebody else's hair on their head. And you even have something like, why, if I want hair like that, I'll just go get the woman whose hair that grow out of. Why? Leave the wigs off.
Is that your natural curls?
No.
So why do black women wear like the fake hair today?
Why do you wear fake hair?
Hold on, man.
Why do you not want to wear your natural hair? Like, this is what's going on.
So I'm wearing this to kind of mimic black women with the wigs because like you guys wear the wigs, so why can't I wear the wigs?
That's actually crazy.
So
do you respect black women?
I do. That's why I would rather see your natural hair.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because black women's natural hair is beautiful, but all the wigs and 613 bust downs, bro.
So what's wrong if I wear a 613 bust down? I can still rock my natural hair, but what if I want to switch it up?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that though?
So you can switch
what
up.
What if I don't want to wear my natural hair every day? What if I don't feel like combing my natural hair every day?
That's just laziness, man.
Yo, get out of my face.
No, for real though, because you can switch up your natural hair, man. Black people can do twists, afros, dreads. You can shape your afros into hearts, into anime characters, but you want to switch it up to white hair. The difference when a white woman... let me speak. So, I'm not saying it's okay. If they put in extensions, I still disagree with it. But the difference is, they're not putting on afro wigs. You guys are putting on hair that looks exactly like their hair. They put on hair that looks like their natural hair.
Can black women flat iron their hair, like on their own natural? Can they flat iron their natural?
Yes, they can.
So
can a white
is
woman
that a black woman trying to mimic or imitate a white woman?
Yes. Eurocentric.
I don't know if we're ever gonna.
Eurocentric beauty standards. The point is, your hair doesn't naturally grow this way, does it?
But black hair is able to be manipulated any way that it wants to. Flat iron, perm, extensions.
But straightening damages it though.
Not all the time. If you take care of it, no, that's not.
Yes, it does.
If you take care of the way you flat iron your hair, no, it doesn't.
So flat iron your hair every day.
You don't do that. You don't do that.
She said it doesn't damage.
To be, first off, it looks better, and your hair is also, a part of your identity. You can identify one's race by hair texture. So if you're putting on wigs and weaves and things like that, we can't identify who you are all the time. There's different shades of brown in other races as well, but you can identify an Indian who wears their hair natural in comparison to a black person who may look similar but is wearing a wig. You can't identify that person's race until they take the wig off. So, moving forward, it says formaldehyde. Formaldehyde permeates through inhalation and can cause neurologic and behavioral toxicity as well as immunological toxicity. Mercury and lead. Mercury found in some cosmetic products can accumulate in the body over time and impair the brain and nervous system. And these are also the areas of the body that the spirit being also attacks. So not only do you have an attack on your spirit by your spirit being by way of your brain and nervous system, but you also have chemicals attacking your brain and nervous system by way of other spirit beings and other races that know that doing these things is going to be more harmful to you. So it says lead is a well-established neurotoxin that degrades nerve cell function and is linked to reduced IQ and memory loss. It just is contributing to mental ignorance. Effects on female hormones. These chemicals are classified as endocrine disrupting chemicals. They interfere with the body's natural hormonal communication. Chemicals like phthalates and triphenol phosphate disrupt the hormone system by mimicking or blocking natural hormones. When an endocrine disrupting chemical mimics a hormone, it tricks the hormone's receptor into thinking the chemical is the hormone itself. When it blocks a hormone, the chemical binds to the receptor so the real hormone cannot be activated. So you even have chemicals. Not only your spirit being is tricking you, but you have chemicals Man-made false chemicals tricking the natural parts and hormones in your body to believe that it's something else. Parabens mimic estrogen. Parabens can mimic the hormone estrogen, disrupting the endocrine system, which is known to play a role in the development of breast cancers and have been linked to fertility problems. Phthalates in eyelash glue, nail products, and fragrances interfere with estrogen and thyroid hormone signaling and, in some cases, facilitate early puberty in girls and boys and reduce sperm count in men. Flame retardants found in fake hair. Flame retardants are linked to disruption of thyroid hormones, which regulate metabolism, brain development, and reproductive health. Effects on DNA. Ingredients with genotoxic qualities, including some pigments, UV filters, and organic compounds, increase the chance of developing skin cancer and other tumors. DNA repair activities are interfered with as part of the complex mechanisms of genotoxicity, which results in a buildup of mutations and cellular dysfunction. PPD, found in nearly all hair dye and chemical straighteners, can be contaminated with 4-amino-biphenyl 4-ABP during production. In 2010, the IARC officially labeled 4-ABP as a human carcinogen because of its mutagenic effect on human DNA. Moreover, 4-ABP can permeate the mammary gland to activate estrogen, a fundamental mechanism in breast cancer development. So the things that you're wearing on your body and externally can affect you internally, and we want to live up to these beauty standards to look like somebody else, and it's only killing us. Okay, examination of breast ductal epithelial cells shows that 4-ABP DNA adducts in women who used hair dyes in the past year were 8 times higher than in those who never used them. Formaldehyde releases promote protein cross-linking, which can result in oxidative damage and direct DNA damage. Parabens applied to the skin react with UVB irradiation to increase skin aging and DNA damage. The cocktail effect. One of the most alarming concerns is cumulative exposure. A woman who wears fake nails, makeup, hair extensions with glue, and has permed hair is being exposed to dozens of these chemicals simultaneously every single day. Cosmetic products can contain more than 10,000 ingredients. Long-term exposure is linked to cancer, congenital disabilities, reproductive impairments, developmental problems, lung damage, and harms to human nails. Most users are entirely unaware of these effects. I wouldn't say that because this information is out there, but nobody wants to hear it. Indoor air pollution from cosmetic products is a growing concern, particularly in nail and hair salons where employees and clients are frequently exposed to airborne VOCs such as toluene esters, formaldehyde, and ketones. Chemicals linked to hormone disruption, respiratory issues, nervous system disorders, miscarriages, and cancer. It says what you can do. It says to look for products labeled phthalate free, paraben free, yada yada yada. I would say stay away from all of it. So I said, can you briefly explain protein cross-linking resulting to oxidative damage and direct DNA damage and how it can affect future offspring? So it says, step 1, what is protein cross-linking? Think of your DNA as a long, carefully organized library of instruction books and proteins as the workers who read, copy, and protect those books. Normally, these workers do their jobs and then move on. When you're exposed to reactive chemicals, particularly formaldehyde and other aldehydes found in perms, hair glue, nail products, and eyelash adhesives, something goes wrong. Aldehydes are highly reactive compounds that can react with all the major biological molecules in a cell, including DNA.
Formaldehyde is a potent fixative discovered by German chemist August Wilhelm von Hofmann in 1867. It preserves biological specimens by denaturing proteins and cross-linking molecules, a process known as fixation. Formaldehyde reacts with amino acids, particularly lysine, to form methylene bridges, creating a rigid, three-dimensional structure that prevents enzymatic breakdown. This process, first described by Ferdinand Blum in 1893, stabilizes the specimen's morphology by inhibiting proteolytic activity and preventing the degradation of biomolecules. By inactivating enzymes and stabilizing biomolecules, formaldehyde effectively preserves specimens, allowing for detailed morphological and histological analysis, as pioneered by Rudolf Virchow in the 19th century.
They can form direct DNA base attachments and DNA protein crosslinks, where a protein becomes chemically fused or glued directly onto the DNA strand. In other words, the worker literally gets stuck to the library book and can no longer move. This is protein cross-linking. Step 2. How this causes oxidative damage. Once proteins are locked onto DNA, the cell goes into a state of crisis. It generates excessive amounts of reactive oxygen species, ROS, unstable, highly damaging oxygen molecules in an attempt to fix the problem. This flood of ROS is called oxidative stress, and it attacks the DNA itself like acid eating through paper.
Oxidative stress alters your epigenetic signaling. So if you've got oxidative stress, it alters the expression of genetics. So this can alter DNA methylation. It can change the way that genes are transcribed, and this can alter the way that proteins are expressed. So we're now beginning to understand that oxidative stress, which can occur in childhood, can alter your epigenetic signature and alter the way that the proteins that your body produces are expressed. So this is a way, again, as Ajit beautifully explained, how stress in childhood in a long-term way alter your vulnerability to developing illnesses later.
The oxidative DNA lesion known as 8-OHDG has emerged as a central mediator at the crossroads of DNA damage and epigenetic regulation. Hydroxyl radicals preferentially attack the guanine base of DNA, and this lesion is widely recognized as one of the most prevalent and mutagenic modifications known, implicated in de novo mutations. How this directly damages DNA. If DNA protein crosslinks are not repaired, they interfere with key biological processes such as transcription, reading genes, and replication, copying DNA, and can activate programmed cell death. DPCs can block replication fork progression, inhibit new DNA synthesis, and have been shown to interfere with chromatin remodeling, the structural organization of DNA itself. Essentially, the cell's ability to correct, read, and copy its own genetic code becomes severely compromised. Errors accumulate, mutations form, and if the cell's repair systems are overwhelmed or fail, those errors become permanent. How this affects future offspring, epigenetic transgenerational inheritance. This is where it becomes deeply concerning for future generations. The damage doesn't have to be written into the DNA sequence itself to be passed down. It could be passed through epigenetic changes. Anut has spoke on this previously in videos, like in a couple of videos, way, like a long time ago. Chemical tags on DNA that act like volume switches, turning genes on or off. Environmental factors such as toxicants can influence epigenetic processes to alter genome activity. The germline, sperm, and eggs transmits this altered epigenome, promoting adult onset disease phenotypes in subsequent generations, a process called epigenetic transgenerational inheritance. Research found that a mixture of plastic-derived compounds, including BPA and phthalates, chemicals found in cosmetics, nail products, and eyelash glues, can promote epigenetic transgenerational inheritance of adult onset disease, with sperm epimutations identified across multiple generations. Many environmental toxicants have been shown to be associated with the transgenerational inheritance of increased disease susceptibility. My bad, y'all. If a pregnant female is exposed to an environment toxicant, the first generation that can fully exhibit epigenetic transgenerational inheritance is the great-grandchildren, the F3 generation. What this means in plain terms, a woman's chemical exposures today could affect not just her children, but potentially her grandchildren and great-grandchildren, even if those descendants are never directly exposed to the chemicals themselves. And the people that are in power, the elites, these people, they know this. This is why they are promoting this. This is why they target the black family. The diseases this can produce in offspring. Research has linked these inherited epigenetic changes to reproductive disorders, early puberty, infertility, hormone imbalances, obesity, and metabolic disease, cancer, susceptibility, particularly breast, kidney, and prostate cancers, neurological and cognitive disorders, attention deficits, anxiety, lower IQ, immune system dysfunction, developmental abnormalities. The bottom line, what makes this especially alarming is the invisibility of the harm. A woman using these beauty products daily may feel perfectly fine. She may never develop cancer herself, but the chemical signals being quietly written to her into her egg cells. So you're affecting future generations if you continue to put all these chemicals on your body on purpose. Like, we can't control certain things. Like, I understand we can't control like certain chemicals in the food that we're eating. We can't control the chemicals they put in the air, but we can control putting on a wig and makeup and lashes and nails. We can control that. And potentially into the developing eggs of a female fetus she's carrying can ripple forward through generations, expressing as disease in children and grandchildren who never touched a bottle of nail glue or sat through a perm. Scientifically explain why are black women the main target when it comes to selling these products, especially from people who don't wear or use them. Number one, the economics. The foundation of the targeting is purely financial, and the numbers are staggering. Black women spend approximately $500 billion on hair care, roughly 35 times larger than the GDP of Jamaica. Black women spend more money on hair care than any other demographic group, yet very few hair care companies and beauty supply stores are owned by individuals of African descent. That says a lot right there. Black-owned hair products constitute a mere 3% of the ethnic hair and beauty market, with the majority of major black hair care retailers not being black-owned. Non-black owned brands take in 82% of the total revenue, while black owned brands account for only 18%. This means the people profiting from black women's beauty spending are overwhelmingly not black women, and critically are not the same people using the products they're selling. The psychological mechanism, weaponizing racialized beauty standards. This is where the science becomes deeply disturbing. The targeting is not random. It is strategically built on a psychological architecture constructed through decades of systematic racism, mass distribution of images that idealize whiteness and influence sales of hair straighteners, skin lighteners, and odor masking products. Racial discrimination based on European beauty norms can lead to internalized racism.
All definitions of black people's standards and values have been defined by whites in a society basically European. As simple as it may seem, we have never made any definition of our condition, beauty standards, social etiquette. Even our names have been given us by white culture.
Body shame and skin tone dissatisfaction, factors that influence product use to achieve straighter hair or lighter skin. Beauty product use may be one way that structural discrimination becomes biologically embedded. Some skin lightening cream manufacturers display advertisements showing women with half their faces black and half their faces white, a strategy meant to contrast the desired beauty of whiteness with negative stereotypes of blackness so that manufacturers can profit off of black women who want to meet Eurocentric standards of beauty.
คุณรู้อะไรมะกว่าคริสจะมาถึงตรงนี้ได้การแข่งขันมันสูงมากจะอยู่ได้นานๆไม่ใช่เรื่องง่ายแล้วถ้าคริสหยุดดูแลตัวเองเมื่อไหร่ทุกอย่างที่ทุ่มเทมาความขาวที่ลงทุนไว้ก็หมดไปเด็กใหม่ที่เข้ามาแทนที่อาจท ทำให้เรากลายเป็นดาวดับ
แค่ขาวก็ชนะ ใหม่ Snows กลูต้าเข้มข้นที่สุด ผสมเมล็ดกีวี ช่วยให้ไม่กลับมาดำเหมือนกลูต้าทั่วไป
ขาวนิรันดร์คริสมั่นใจ So Secret Snow เรากลายเป็นดาวดับ
แค่ขาวก็ชนะ
Ano na nga ang pangalan niya?
Sofia Bianca po.
Pakitanggal ang belo.
These problematic marketing strategies are extensions of modern institutionalized racism in which dark skin tone is perceived to be at the bottom of a racial beauty hierarchy. Advertisers have employed targeted marketing towards black women with messages that encourage self-consciousness of potential vaginal odors, body shame, and other insecurities. These habits became embedded as cultural norms, and we can see this all over the internet, TikTok, Instagram, wherever you look, these conversations are the same. It's all these new products that come out to help your body look this way, to change your skin, to change your hair texture, all of these things, and we just get caught in this web of deception that other people gain off of, which is unfortunate. In other words, the industry manufactured the insecurity and then sold the solution, a solution laced with the very chemicals we've been discussing. Product safety disparity, deliberately inferior products. The inequality isn't just in marketing, it's chemically measurable in the products themselves. Out of 4,011 personal care products marketed to black women, only 21% rate as low hazard in EWG Skin Deep Cosmetic Database. About 40% of beauty products on the market overall are categorized as low hazard, but fewer than 25% of beauty products marketed specifically to black women meet the standard. Black women were nearly twice as likely as white women to use hair products with high hazard scores, exposing them to endocrine disrupting chemicals that can interfere with hormones and reproductive health. This is not accidental. It reflects a market reality in which companies sell their most chemically dangerous products to the communities with the least regulatory protection and the fewest alternative options. The biological consequences, what the science shows. The health outcomes from this targeted chemical exposure are now extensively documented by major institutions. Because black women use hair straightening or relaxer products more frequently and tend to initiate use at earlier ages than other races and ethnicities, these findings may be even more relevant for them. Several chemicals found in straighteners, such as parabens, bisphenol A, metals, and formaldehyde, are contributing to increased cancer risk. Chemical exposure from hair products could be more concerning than other personal products due to increased absorption through the scalp, which may be exacerbated by burns and lesions caused by the products themselves. Black women who have used relaxers more than twice a year or for more than 5 years have a 50% increase in uterine cancer risk. Up to 95% of adult black women in the U.S. reported ever having used hair relaxers.
Jenny Mitchell of Missouri was diagnosed with uterine cancer at age 28.
I am the first voice of many voices to come. We'll stand up to these companies and say no more.
Now 32, she and her attorneys, including Benjamin Crump, have filed a class action lawsuit against beauty brand L'Oreal and 4 other companies, claiming Mitchell's uterine cancer was directly caused by chemicals found in hair relaxers sold by those brands, which Mitchell says she began using as a child.
I underwent a full hysterectomy. That was harder than the cancer diagnosis because I will never be able to carry my own kids.
Just last week, the National Institutes of Health released a study that found hair straightening products may double the risk of uterine cancer in women who use them, though the cancer is still rare, affecting an estimated 4% of women who...
Chemical hair straighteners may contribute to increased risk of pancreatic and thyroid cancers and potentially non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. in addition to previously documented associations with breast, ovarian, and uterine cancers. Because product use often begins in childhood and is disproportionately common among black women, these findings underscore the need for diverse research populations. The structural trap. Chemical hair relaxers are heavily marketed to and commonly used by black women to straighten curly or tightly coiled hair. These products are only loosely regulated and are known to contain potentially harmful ingredients, including chemicals known as endocrine disruptors, which can be absorbed via inhalation or through the skin. So even if you breathe this in, is harmful to you. The U.S. has historically and had some of the weakest cosmetic safety regulations in the developed world. The European Union has banned hundreds of chemicals still legal in American beauty products, and the products containing those chemicals are disproportionately marketed to black women. The feedback loop. Eurocentric beauty standards create insecurity about natural black hair and features. Companies sell corrective products. Those products contain toxic chemicals at higher rates than products marketed to white women. Black women experience higher rates of reproductive cancers, hormonal disruption, and DNA damage. The health consequences are understudied and underreported because black women are underrepresented in clinical research. Companies face little accountability. The cycle continues. The environmental injustice of beauty is a scientific framework linking intersecting systems of oppression, racism, sexism, and classism to racialize beauty practices, unequal chemical exposures, and adverse health outcomes. This framework has been applied to skin lighteners, hair straighteners, and fragrance, menstrual, and intimate care products, offering more robust links to adverse health outcomes and greater characterization of harmful chemicals in products marketed to communities of color. The targeting of black women by non-black owned beauty companies with disproportionately toxic products is not coincidental. It is the scientifically documented intersection of racial, economic, psychological manipulation through manufactured beauty insecurity, regulatory neglect, and a profit motive that has historically treated black women's bodies as an acceptable site of risk. The people selling these products do not use them. The people using them are bearing the biological costs in their hormones, their DNA, their reproductive organs, and potentially in the health of generations yet to come. So is it safe to say that Eurocentric beauty standards have caused more harm than benefit to black women? Yes, the science says exactly that, and it's not even close. Eurocentric beauty standards have functioned as a biological hazard for black women. The psychological pressure to conform to features that don't naturally reflect African genetics has driven decades of chemical relaxer use, skin lightening, and the use of toxic adhesives and extensions products now scientifically linked to uterine cancer, breast cancer, hormonal disruption, DNA damage, and reproductive harm. Up to 95% of adult black women in the U.S. reported ever having used hair relaxers, a product tied to 50% increased risk of uterine cancer with long-time use. That statistic alone tells a story. Nearly an entire population of women was chemically altering their bodies beginning in childhood, not for health, but to meet a standard built by and for people who look nothing like them. Sold by companies who profit from that standard while bearing none of its biological consequences. The benefit? Accepting in spaces that should never have required that sacrifice in the first place. The harm? Generational, written into their DNA, their hormones, and potentially their children's health. So, your children don't ask to be here. You create them, and what you do to yourself can contribute to the future of your child. So yes, by every measurable scientific metric, Eurocentric beauty standards have caused black women profound, documented, and ongoing biological harm with negligible benefit that was never worth the cost.
YGF Beats.